About 3 years ago, if you dropped $2,000 on this pre-built gaming PC, you probably thought you were getting one of the most powerful and most premium gaming machines money could buy. After all, it had ROG on the front. But buried deep inside this machine is something ASUS definitely didn't brag about in the marketing. A tiny decision on the motherboard that quietly determines just how far this $2,000 PC can ever be upgraded. And I bet most people who bought one had absolutely no idea. So today, I want to find out exactly where ASUS drew the line, and then push this thing as far beyond it as I possibly can. From squeezing out every last frame of performance, to throwing the most brutal Minecraft graphic settings I can find at it. But first, I need to buy one. So naturally, I went straight to Amazon to find one. And there it is. Only $3,500. Yeah, maybe not. Alright, let's lower the specs a little. $1,200. Still painful. At this point, my bank account was basically begging me to close Amazon and go check eBay instead. Surely a used one would be more reasonable. $1,000. Okay, apparently I'm not as rich as I thought I was, but somehow, I still managed to get one sitting right here in front of me. This is the ASUS ROG Strix G16CH, a pre-built gaming PC from ASUS. So how did I get it? I borrowed it from a friend. As for the design, at first glance it actually looks pretty promising. There are some huge ventilation openings on the front. Oh my god, I can literally see straight through them and into the case, and ASUS didn't stop there. The top is covered with even more ventilation, so at least this thing looks like it should be able to breathe. But wait, what is this strap-looking thing on top? Is this supposed to help me get a quick workout between gaming sessions? What does this thing even do? Oh, apparently it's a headphone hanger. Okay, that's actually kind of useful. Instead of throwing your headset on the desk, you can proudly hang it from your $2,000 gaming PC. Although, it does feel a little flimsy, and somehow I don't think anyone spent $2,000 on this PC because of the headphone hanger. Maybe it was the massive ASUS logo on the front. Anyway, let's take a look inside. I think it'll be much easier to see everything if I remove the glass side panel first. And look at this, the machine still seems relatively new. The protective film on the panel hasn't even been peeled off yet. The inside, however, that's a different story. There's quite a bit of dust in here. So later on, I think I'm going to completely tear this thing down, give everything a proper cleaning, and try to make it look as close to factory fresh as possible. But first, let's see what hardware we're actually working with. Technically, the specifications are already printed right here on the case, but I still want to open it up and verify everything myself, because I want to know whether this machine still has all the original factory hardware, or if someone has already been inside and changed a few things. Alright, starting with the memory, we've got two 8GB sticks giving us 16GB of RAM in total. But the interesting part here isn't the capacity, it's the type of memory. Yep, DDR4, and this is one of those limitations that's incredibly easy to overlook. At this price point, ASUS could have built this system around a DDR5 motherboard, but they didn't. So from the moment this PC left the factory, it was already tied to an older memory platform. It's not necessarily a huge performance problem today, but for a $2,000 pre-built, it's definitely something worth pointing out. Moving on to the GPU, we've got an RTX 4070 with 12GB of VRAM. And there's something interesting about this card. It looks surprisingly similar to the kind of RTX 4070 you could simply buy off the shelf. There's nothing particularly exotic or custom about it that screams ROG Strix. But then again, I probably don't have much right to complain. Even if I had the money, I still wouldn't buy this PC. Now let's talk about this CPU cooler. If you showed me this cooler by itself, I would never guess it came out of a $2,000 gaming PC. ASUS actually sold the G16CH with several different cooling configurations, including versions with liquid cooling. But this particular model uses a much simpler air cooler, and I think we all know why. Cost. Normally that wouldn't bother me too much. Except underneath this thing is an Intel Core i7-13700KF, a CPU capable of pulling up to around 253 watts under maximum turbo power. And it's also known for running pretty hot. So pairing that processor with a cooler like this? Yeah, I have a feeling the temperature numbers are going to be very interesting. Now, the motherboard is actually a pleasant surprise. Instead of some bizarre proprietary shape, it looks much closer to a standard ASUS motherboard. That alone is a pretty big step up compared to a lot of OEM pre-builts, especially when it comes to future repairs and upgrades. Getting the motherboard out was surprisingly difficult. It seemed to be stuck around a few mounting points, so I added a little lubricant, and just like that, it came right out. And finally, for storage, we've got a 1TB NVMe SSD. So on paper, the core specs are definitely powerful. Next, I need to clean up the power supply because later on, this thing is going to be under some serious load. If you didn't know, this is an 850-watt OEM power supply made by Delta, specifically for certain ASUS pre-built systems. Now I need to strip the case down so I can properly clean everything inside. And I have to be pretty careful here because most of these exterior panels are made from fairly brittle plastic. If I break anything, finding a replacement probably won't be cheap. Oh man, finally, I got the front panel off. Luckily, it's actually pretty clean underneath. Most of the dust comes right off with a soft brush. I'll do the same thing throughout the rest of the case, then wipe everything down with a damp cloth and make sure there's no dust left behind. As for the power supply, I'm not going to open it up. It really isn't dirty enough to justify taking it apart, so I'll just clean the outside. I'll also give the fans and CPU cooler a quick wipe while I'm at it. And we're done. Everything is finally clean. Now comes my favorite part, putting it all back together. While putting everything back together, something crossed my mind. What really makes this pre-built PC different from something we could build ourselves? Aside from the custom-designed case, most of the hardware inside is made from components we could buy and assemble on our own. So, unless you really value the brand and convenience, paying extra for the ROG name probably isn't the best value, especially if you're on a budget. Damn it! I just finished installing the motherboard and completely forgot about the rear exhaust fan. Alright, let me fix that. And now we're pretty much done. The last thing left is to peel the protective film off the glass panel so we can finally get a clear look inside. Alright, there we go. You're about to see one of the most ridiculous benchmark runs I've ever done. But let's start with something every gamer understands. How much FPS can this PC actually push in Minecraft? Alright, I'm starting with the current 2026 version of Minecraft, running at 1440p, default settings, and with the frame rate completely uncapped. And boom, 730 FPS. Once I turned on the FPS counter though, it dropped slightly to around 650 FPS. Not a huge difference. And interestingly, the GPU doesn't even look like it's trying that hard, but that's not entirely the RTX 4070's fault. Minecraft Java Edition is notoriously inefficient at taking full advantage of modern hardware, so I installed 5 performance mods, and everything changed immediately, 1,330 frames per second. That's insane. We basically doubled the frame rate, and now the GPU is finally being pushed much harder. But I still think there's more performance hiding in the system. So I dropped the render distance and turned every graphic setting down to the absolute minimum. And oh my god, 2,500 frames per second. I've never seen a frame rate this high on one of my Minecraft tests. But we're not finished yet. I wanted to see just how far I could push this thing, so I went all the way back to Minecraft 1.8.9, this time using the built-in performance optimizations from Lunar Client. Then I created a super flat world with almost nothing complicated for the game to render. And just from doing that, 3,400 frames per second. No way. Under the right conditions, I even saw it spike past 3,600 frames per second. But while experimenting with Lunar Client, I noticed something interesting. Some of its features were actually holding my frame rate back, so I started disabling anything I didn't need. And bro, look at that! 4,400 frames per second. I genuinely couldn't believe what I was seeing, and that's when I started wondering, could I somehow double that number? Could I push this thing anywhere close to 8,000 frames per second? At this point, I'm willing to try pretty much anything. First, I dropped the Windows resolution as low as I reasonably could. Then I switched Minecraft into windowed mode and made the game window ridiculously small. And there it is, 5,000 FPS. Obviously, playing Minecraft like this is completely pointless. Nobody needs 5,000 frames per second in a window the size of a postage stamp. But this isn't about practicality anymore, this is a challenge. And I'm gonna keep pushing until there's nothing left. Next, I moved on to optimizing Windows and the hardware itself. There are quite a few steps involved here, so instead of turning this video into a Windows optimization tutorial, I'll put the settings I used in the comments for anyone who wants to check them out. Alright, let's see what we gained. Oh my god, 6,500 frames per second. And when I shrink the window again, 6,700 frames per second. That's a pretty significant improvement, but it's still not enough. So I have one more idea. I'm going even further back to Minecraft 1.7.10. This version is much older and simpler with fewer modern graphical features and less overhead. So if anything can get me closer to my target, it should be this. Alright, let's see what happens. Whoa! 7,200 frames per second. That's officially the highest frame rate I've managed to squeeze out of this machine. At this point, I've tried pretty much every trick I can think of, and unfortunately I couldn't quite reach my goal, but still. 7,200 frames per second in Minecraft is absolutely ridiculous, and now that we've pushed this PC to the extreme in one direction, it's time to go completely insane in the other. Instead of making Minecraft as easy as possible to run, I want to make it as brutally demanding as possible. I want to push this machine to its absolute limit and find out just how close we can get to 100% photorealism. Let's see how much punishment this PC can actually take. I'm going to start things off pretty gently at 5% realism, using Vanilla Plus shaders. It doesn't completely transform Minecraft, but the colors, lighting, and overall atmosphere already feel much more alive. And the crazy part? At 1440p, this PC is still pushing over 300 FPS. So far, the hardware isn't even breaking a sweat. At 10% realism, I started adding more advanced lighting, better looking water, and much more noticeable reflections. Then I enabled distant horizons, allowing the game to render terrain far beyond Minecraft's normal limits. The view is impressive, but now we're finally starting to pay for it. FPS drops by roughly 1/3. And then I noticed something much more concerning. The CPU is getting dangerously close to 100 degrees Celsius. At this point, we're clearly seeing the limitations of that air cooler. Surprisingly, the clock speeds haven't dropped too much yet, so I'm going to keep going. At 40% realism, things start changing dramatically. I combined 3D textures with physics mod, making leaves, terrain, and many other objects feel much less like simple Minecraft blocks. The world suddenly has a lot more depth. And somehow we're still getting around 130 FPS. It's only when I move into extremely dense forests where the game has to render millions of tiny details that the frame rate drops by nearly half. But I want to go further. At 75% realism, I'm upgrading to 256 times textures and adding terrain diffusion to create more natural mountains, valleys, and landscapes. But the biggest change is iteration RP, using path tracing to simulate much more realistic lighting. And this barely looks like Minecraft anymore. Massive forests, water stretching all the way to the horizon, light shining through the trees. I feel like I've gone back millions of years in time. There are moments where I genuinely have to remind myself that I'm still playing Minecraft. But now the RTX 4070 is finally starting to struggle. We're down to around 50 FPS, while the CPU continues cooking at nearly 100 degrees Celsius. And now I'm traveling through time, from that primitive world straight into a futuristic city. Skyscrapers, glass, artificial lighting, reflections. The GPU is now pinned at 100% utilization, and the frame rate drops below 40 frames per second. But there's still one final level, 100% realism. For this, I loaded the Cyberpunk Linefield map and pushed almost everything as far as I could. And the result? 3 FPS. For the first few seconds, I genuinely thought something had gone wrong. But nope, this is simply where the RTX 4070 hits its limit. VRAM is almost completely full, and the GPU is being pushed as hard as it can possibly go. After making a few adjustments, I managed to recover around 20 frames per second, but whenever I move into more complex areas, it starts dropping again. So there we have it. We started by chasing thousands of frames per second, and ended by bringing this $2,000 gaming PC down to just 3 FPS. I've basically pushed this machine to both extremes, and this has been one of the most interesting benchmark experiments I've had the chance to try. After all of that, this is probably the craziest thing I've ever done in Minecraft. It's still not perfect, but I think I've gotten pretty close to what I was aiming for. But honestly, the best graphics I've ever seen are still real life. So go outside, guys. Let me know what you think of this PC down in the comments.